We have a lot to talk about. Welcome to another edition of the Wednesday Wrestling Popcast, exclusively here on the Podcast Network. My name is Owen. Joining me, as always, is Ashley.
First time I go and check on the what language we're in, and it's still in normal English. Damn it.
We've got Smackdown, 205 Live, Impact, UFC, NXT, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and all sorts of various news and rumors going around the wrestling world. So sit back, relax, and get your weekly dose of wrestling knowledge here on the Podcast Network.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ashley, let's talk a little Smackdown.
Oh, right. I need to get the audio clip. Because this ties into what we do get sort of. Admittedly, it's halfway through. But this is the loop, but I'll try and stop it before the loop. This is the full 50-second recording of Sunday's Backlash with the Indian commentary. I can't tell whether these guys are being forced to say this stuff or they're actually this excited. That probably is a good thing.
WWE चैंपियन बन गए हैं जिंदाल महान नंबर वन इंडिया नंबर वन बन गए हैं नंबर वन पंजाब इंडिया से पंजाब में इंडिया नंबर वन जिंदाल महान और अब देख रहे हैं कि इंडिया 1.2 लोग इंडिया से आ गया है चैंपियन वर्ल्ड रेसलिंग इंडिया चैंपियन.
Those fireworks wouldn't be timed perfect.
Pretty much.
So yeah, part of me doesn't know whether Vince is forcing them to do it or whether they're actually that excited. I don't know.
We'll see.
So we start off outside. There's a police escort in front of a couple of vehicles. The first has got the Singh brothers in and a red carpet. And then the limo is behind, so basically Jinder can just walk on the carpet. So we first in-ring segment is Shane. And he's talking about Money in the Bank. Because there's going to be a Money in the Bank match. Who knew? Also, though, Randy Orton will exercise his rematch clause. So Randy will be trying to get his title back in his hometown. So what the fuck happened to Rusev? I guess they've buried that?
I hope not.
I don't know. Well, they haven't mentioned him much. Also, does this mean that all that stuff that they advertised for SmackDown isn't happening? Considering Randy Orton versus Jinder for the title was supposed to be happening on that show. And keep in mind, it wasn't advertised as being like a dark match. Anyway. So Shane introduces the participants. First, AJ Styles, then Baron Corbin, then Sami Zayn, then Ziggler. And then Owens comes out and Shane stops him and says, "You're not in." And Shinsuke Nakamura. And said, "That's your 5. And Kevin's just like, "These 5? Look, I understand why Sami and Nakamura are here. They won at Backlash. I won at Backlash. The man I beat at Backlash is in the match, but I'm not. Isn't this all about favoritism? You know, you say SmackDown's a land of opportunity. Really, it's a land of opportunity where Shane dictates the opportunities." And Shane says, you got some fair points. So because of your performance and because you're the champ, you're in. And of course, Baron says, nobody has a chance. Just lower the briefcase and give it to me right now. And then AJ says his stuff and Sammy says his stuff. And Dolph says his stuff. And then Nakamura says, for anybody that don't know who I am, I'm Shinsuke Nakamura. But you might as well call me Mr. Money in the Bank. And Shane then says, well, I'll set up some stuff for tonight. First up, we're going to have a rematch from Backlash with Baron Corbin taking on Sami Zayn. And then the main event, it's Ziggler and Owens versus Nakamura and AJ. Holy fuck. So then it was Natalya and Carmella versus Flair and Becky for the opening match. It was all right. Becky making Carmella tap out to the disarmer. Thanks to Naomi basically stopping Ellsworth from interfering, kicking him off the apron and everything. Then we had Sami Zayn versus Baron Corbin. In 60 seconds, Zayn rolled him up. And that was the match. So, yeah. It's not even 50-50 booking now. It's 10-90. Who knows? Anyway, Corbin beats the shit out of him. Zayn's checked on medical staff. Being taken out on a stretcher. Then Nakamura and AJ are in and saying how they go back to Japan, and I assume that we've earned each other's respect. And tonight, for the first time, we're a tag team. And I learned a lot from you in Japan, but this is the house that AJ Styles built. You got to know that. And Nakamura says, "Look, yeah, we are a team tonight, but that Money in the Bank, I'll take that briefcase and turn this house of yours into a playground." And now it's time for the Fashion Files, the final file in Toledo. Although, confusingly, the police station was exactly the same as last week. I guess these arenas are just built from IKEA sets or something. And Shane comes in, wanting to know what's going on, and Ty and Fandango are like, "Oh, hello, Commissioner. I guess you wanted to see us." And they turn in their badges. And Shane's just like, "You're not real cops." And Fandango says, "Well, if you start saying that, you're right. Do you want our guns too?" And then they give him all the fashion attire, start to take off their uniforms. And Shane says, "Look, that performance, you belong." Really? I thought they were wasted on Sunday. Anyway, Tyler's facing Jay. Fandango's facing Jimmy. And the fashion guys are like, "We're still on the case." So now we're coming for the Punjabi's championship celebration. And we got the grand dancers and everything. Jinder comes out. Says, "Shower me with your hatred all you want. It doesn't change the fact that 1.3 billion people in India are celebrating that I'm WWE champion." This is a question that I do have. If any of our viewers, whether it be archive or live, are actually from India, tell me how impactful it is, because I cannot find anything on the internet. The only thing I can find is a Times of India thing, which has got an interview with him. So, hashtag propaganda. Jinder says, "You booed me because I look different and talk different. And now you boo because I exposed you all for the fools that you are. You didn't believe in the Maharaja. And you didn't think I could beat Randy. At Backlash, I enlightened you all and became the champ. Randy is just like America. It's on the decline. I'm already the greatest WWE champion of all time. Really? Yeah, waiting for the fireworks. Can you ruin the celebration? You think you can hijack my crowning? Nope. It's about me. I celebrate for the Punjab and India. And then he does a little bit of a statement in Punjabi himself. And then pyro goes off everywhere. Then Lana's getting her tits out. And then we get to this random shit. So it's first off, it's Jay versus Tyler. And Jay's got a mic and says, look, already beat you guys. And Fandango manages to distract Jay with a squirt gun, and Tyler rolls him up. Which leads us straight into Jimmy and Fandango. And basically, Jay goes chasing Tyler around the ring. Jimmy stops him to say, what you doing? And then Fandango rolls him up. And gets the win. So, okay. And afterwards, Fandango go, why the long faces, guys? I guess it's like being caught wearing white after Labor Day. And basically, they want a rematch for the tag titles. And Fandango goes, what? You're afraid that they'll look better around the race of real men? So we get the match. And the Usos win clean.
I hated
Weirdly.
this. I hated this.
So they did all the shenanigans, and then they just made him look shit.
They even got him over, too, because the crowd was cheering for him.
Again. Ugh. So Natalia interrupts Shane on the phone and says, you did say I could ask you for my title match, and, I did win on Sunday. And Carmella's like, well, I won twice. And Becky comes in and says, well, I was the first champ. And then Tamina goes, look, everyone had a chance and everyone failed. And Ellsworth's like, look, Tamina, you're just too busy giving me the goo-goo eyes to even deserve to get a title match. And then Charlotte comes in and says, I was going to win that title against Naomi until this welcoming committee, or whatever it's called, that already seems to be at each other's throats, interfered. So next week, it's a fatal 5-way elimination match with the winner facing Naomi at Money in the Bank. So there goes your fucking idea for women's Money in the Bank match. Brilliant. What progress. Then Kendrick saying, Cesaro will finally learn his final lesson. Because there's anything goes and no rules. And then AJ and Nakamura versus Ziggler and Owens was really good. They gave it at least about 20 minutes, give or take. With Nakamura hitting Kinshasa on Owens to get the win. And also a good old drop kick to Dolph as well. So overall, a relatively positive show. Positive in terms of a mixed bag, though, because the women's stuff is like God almighty. But the Jinder segment was very good. Notice that means that Randy did fuck all on this show. The opening was pretty good. The main event was solid. The Usos things had its moments and then sort of... Don't get me wrong, it was a good match between the Usos and Breezango, but it's weird how they're positioned as a comedy act, and then they just put them over, or they don't put them over when it suddenly turns serious. This transitions into 205 Live, which opened with a brilliant video package about the story between Tozawa and Kendrick over the last few months, but also Kendrick basically saying how Tozawa made a name for himself in Japan over the last decade, but has still got a lot to learn. And then it just fills in a story, and then he says, like, I can't bet, tonight I will teach Tozawa the final lesson. So, opening match is Swan versus Daivari. Not too bad a match, relatively short. Swan winning with a Phoenix Splash. And then when Swan's celebrating, Noam Dar shows up and pushes him off the turnbuckle, and he and Alicia celebrate. So I guess it's Rich Swann and Sasha Banks then. Probably. Then we've got this weird bit. The Neville and Aries via satellite thing, which clearly means they're backstage. And Corey's there, so basically saying, how big of a challenge will it be for you, Neville? And Neville's just like, look, from the second I've been here, I've beaten everyone, including Aries twice. And Aries is just like, you want to talk about pretenders? Sure, you beat me twice. But the last time that we were in the ring, I beat you. And Neville's like, you've had multiple opportunities and to take the crown and satisfy your foolish ambition. And Austin's like, look, I earned it. You put my finger in my eye to help you win at Mania, and then at Payback, you grab the referee to get intentionally DQ'd. And Neville's like, this is slander. And Aries says, no, it's not slander, because it's the truth. You think you're the first person to put roadblocks in front of me? You're the first person to try and knock me down? First person to get someone to do my dirty work to stop me? None of this is new. Everyone knows you've been scraping by the skin of your teeth, and you ain't going to be able to do it for a third time. And Neville just says, what you should do is walk away now, because I won't be held responsible for what happens at Extreme Rules. Really good promo. Problem is, it was in front of a crowd that didn't give a shit. Hence, that's the problem with 205 Live, because it's live. So now, time for the return of Cedric Alexander. Who's taking on Johnny Moon, apparently. I don't think that's his actual name. And Alexander won with a lumbar check in a few minutes. So now it's time for a video package from Drew Gulak, basically saying, I believe in a better 205 Live. I represent the traditions laid down by the greatest cruiserweights. Not the showboats, the people take advantage of doing what we do in the ring just for a little applause. If I wanted to see all the flips and shit, I got a Cirque du Soleil. And then just a cheesy sort of wink and sort of freeze frame, like an 80s thing. And then Kendrick and Tozawa in a street fight. Pretty damn good. I can't remember. I don't think they used kendo sticks and everything, but they did use. There was a bit where, Kendrick got some tape and whatever, and taped up Tozawa's mouth and locked on the submission and whatever, so he couldn't audibly do his stuff. But the finish came with Tozawa DDTing Kendrick on the ring steps outside, putting Kendrick on the table that was set up outside, and Tozawa did that air back senton. Of course, which was super air because it was top of the turnbuckle to table on the mat rather than the ring. And then Tozawa carried Kendrick in the ring, did the 3 count, and Tozawa wins. The officials check on Kendrick, and not too bad matches really, and not too bad a show, which is not going to go over. Admittedly, for some of the stuff that they did with the street fight, it did get the fans into it, certainly towards the end, especially for the giant senton through the table. But further reason why 205 Live should be taped beforehand. And then Talking Smack. Well, no, because Talking Smack still could be taped like it is and air after 205 Live. Because I think the 205 Live experiment is probably going to be costly.
Already has been.
Hang on, yeah, well, hang on. I need to quickly go and see. Oh, no, 205 Live last week did get... last week's figures from the 9th. So this is from 2 weeks ago. Whatever. It did get in the top 10 last week. Interestingly. So that's your WWE television stuff for the week. Well, apart from NXT, but we'll get to that later.
And we move from WWE to Impact Wrestling.
So now it's time for the start of the GFW Tag Team Title Tournament. Straight in with LAX versus Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid. An okay match. Which is surprising considering it's these two teams, Ewo FBO and Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid. The main issue is there's too many fucking people in LAX. Because Homicide's doing stuff, Conan's doing stuff, Diamante's doing stuff, along with Ewo FBO. Way too much shit. They LAX win with the Powerbomb Blockbuster combo.
Street Sweeper.
Yeah. But it wasn't it was okay, but like I sort of expected better considering the two teams. So then Magnus finds Pritchard backstage and blames Bruce for losing last week with Alberto. And Bruce says, "Look, I'm sorry things didn't go your way, but you're out of contention and you need to prove that you deserve another shot." So Magnus takes off his coat, throws it on the floor, and for a minute, I think he's trying to be Ric Flair, but then he says, "No, I'll do that." And now it's time for Congo Kong versus Braxton Sutter. They're finally going one-on-one. Pretty good match, even though it was somewhat relatively short. Congo Kong getting the win. And then Sienna and KM run in. And Laurel basically holds Ali back while Braxton gets destroyed. And making the save is Mahabali Shera. I take it back. Jinder Mahal's fucking brilliant because Mahabali Shera is terrible.
Yeah, I do not like him.
And Sutter's like, look, if you want that, if you want to get into action, fine. Next week, You and Kong versus me and Shearer. And I'm going, well, at least we get Kong and Sutter again. The other two, which isn't a knock against Kevin Matthews' ring work. It's just the character that he's got is fucking terrible. So now they basically show us all the old school X Division stuff to basically hide the fact that for the past 3 or 4 months it's been the same people doing the same flippy shit. And then you get a bit where all the guys in the Ultimate X match later are talking about what it'll be like to walk out champion tonight. So now we got Mackenzie backstage with Karen and says there's only one way to handle the situation between the Edwards and the Richards. Then Magnus walks in, shoves Karen, and then walks out. Hey? So then they recap EC3 beating or whipping the crap out of Storm. Which leads us to Storm and EC3. Pretty good match from what it was. Although the ending, bit fucking confusing because EC3 gets the strap. The referee's trying to stop him. EC3 knocks the ref out, pulls the shirt up over his head and whips him. And then the bell rings. The referee is dead in the ring. Who ordered for the bell to be rung? God? Like, I don't know. So then Bruce Pritchard comes out. Actually, no. He did actually come out during the match, and because Magnus decided to basically get involved. Yeah, I don't know whether this was revenge for the whole, oh, look, I'm going to push your wife onto the train tracks. And by doing so, I'm going to give her a career in WWE. Oh! So yeah, Pritchard comes out afterwards and says, look, I've had enough. You want chaos? Well, we don't have a main event for Slammiversary yet. So next week, it's going to be Storm, Magnus, and EC3 in a triple threat. Even though Alberto's getting the title shot because of the GFW title. Hey? And, Pritchard tells EC3 to look, I gave you advice to look at yourself in the mirror. Now, you need to look back in that mirror, find your balls. And EC3 shoves Bruce Pritchard down to the mat. Then we got a video package for Spud. He's going to defy all the doctor's advice. And he's going to be back in the Impact Zone next week. And he's going to find that son of a bitch. That's what they actually broadcast. I'm guessing they censored bitch, probably. And get his revenge. And Swoggle will never see it coming. So it's Sienna versus ODB, which is relatively short. Not too bad, really. ODB misses her Fez press, though, which then leads to Sienna hitting the silencer and retaining the title. So then Boras shows up and says, I hired an attorney, a fantastic one. And as of right now, I'm reinstated to the company. And according to the documents, that's effective immediately. And Josh grabs these papers and asks Boras who his attorney is. Oh, look. Joseph Parks. What? And Parks says Borash will retake his position in the booth as lead announcer. And Josh is like, Borash never has had and never will be the lead announcer for the company. And Parks says, look, Borash and the fans don't like you, and neither do I. And Josh says, I don't need your admiration because I've got a beautiful family to go home to. And Joe's just like, shut up. We all know you're a bitch. Stop treating us like we're 11 years old and you're somebody else. And Park says, look, I fought in the courtroom for years and have been in the ring for a lot of wars and even once beat that mid-card to Bully Ray. Why are we throwing bloody shade at Ring of Honor? Honestly? And Park says, look, I want to fight you, and so does Borash. So at Slammiversary, it's going to be you and whoever your partner's going to be versus myself and JB. Josh grabs his backpack and says, oh, I'll find a partner. So that shit's still going on. And then the Ultimate X Division title match. I guess the X Division title match in an Ultimate X match. And because it's Andrew Everett, Trevor Lee, and Low Key, they put on a great load of spots. Really well put together, really solid. Very well, actually not solid, very good, I'd say. But eventually Low Key retains, basically dropping down from the scaffold, stomping both Everett and Lee off the ropes, who I think were hanging down at the side from what I remember. And then grab the oh no, it's the scaffolding where the ropes are, sorry. You know, the ropes going over for the X and all that. Very well done. I can't expect them to keep that consistency going, though. Have to wait till they do the next set of tapings. Okay. So overall, not too bad. Certainly much better matches this week. With the Ultimate X, Storm and EC3, even though it did go to DQ. But still, there's bits there where it's like, why? And nobody will be able to answer it. Tune in next week where something happens, probably. Oh, Shearer's wrestling. Shit. What's next?
UFC.
Oh, this isn't it. We'll first start with Bellator, the big show this past week in London. Bellator 179. Roy McDonald taking on Paul Daly, the main event. Not too bad a main card, in all honesty. The opening welterweight fight was Kevin Ferguson Jr. beating DJ Griffin. I didn't know it until I basically saw the show. Kevin Ferguson Jr. is the son of Kevin Ferguson, a.k.a. Kimbo Slice. So I guess they did this as sort of a tribute, because, of course, the last London show was supposed to have Kimbo Slice on until he, sadly passed away. So nice little thing there. Alex Lahore beat Dan Edwards via TKO early in the second round. Cheech Kongo and Augusto Sakai had a very good bout. Went to a split decision with Kongo getting the win. Midway through the final round, Linton Vassell beat Liam McGeary with a arm triangle choke submission. And then midway through the second, in the main event, Roy McDonald won against Paul Daly with a rear naked choke submission. Afterwards, he's basically saying UFC are going to regret letting me go. Whatever. This weekend, we're in Stockholm, Sweden, for UFC Fight Night 109. Gustafsson versus Teixeira. So on this one, the Fight Pass has 2 fights on the prelims. A lightweight bout with Marcin Held versus Damir Hadovich and Darren Till versus Jesse Nayari in the welterweights. Then Fox Sports 1's prelims has welterweight bout with Nico Masuke versus Bojan Velikovic. Reza Madadi versus Joaquim Silva in the lightweights. Middleweight bout with Trevor Smith taking on Chris Kamotzi. And then the main event, the bantamweights get a chance to shine with Pedro Munoz versus Damian Stasiak. Then for the main card, 6 matches set for this so far. In the middleweights, to open, Jack Hermansson takes on Alex Nicholson. Then 3 back-to-back welterweight bouts. Oliver Enkamp versus Nordin Taleb. Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Amari Akhmedov. And Peter Sabata versus Ben Saunders. And then your co-main and your main are 2 light heavyweight bouts with Volkan Ozdemir versus Misha Serkinov. And the main event, as previously mentioned, Alexander Gustafsson versus Glover Teixeira. So in terms of news, apparently they had a UFC sort of camp or something for various meetings with the fighters. Apparently Cyborg got into a fight with her opponent or somebody that she's battling with or something over the next couple of months. I don't think it is her opponent because it might be actually from what I remember. Kobe Bryant was there and basically said how these guys need to have a union, which is interesting because the officials from UFC and the sponsors Reebok were there, and they're sort of like, we don't want that because then that means money problems. And then somebody even sort of went up and sort of went at Reebok and said spoke their mind on the, not being allowed to have a greater amount of customization that there is. What some people say it was good stuff, and other people said it was heated, and people walked out and whatever. So who knows? It's also been revealed today that Cody Garbrandt is out of UFC 213. The fight against TJ Dillashaw for Cody's bantamweight title will be off. So instead, the second straight year, Amanda Nunes headlines for the women's bantamweight title, this time taking on Valentina Shevchenko. If you remember, Nunes versus Holly Holm, I think. Oh, no, sorry. Nunes versus Misha Tate was the main event on UFC 200 last July. So, yeah, 2 straight years she's main eventing. Also, for the co-main will be the interim middleweight title being set with Yoel Romero versus Robert Whittaker. Romero will probably win, but we'll talk about that more when we get to closer to the time. In terms of other stuff, because Floyd Mayweather's guy was boxing, eventually after his guy won, he did make a statement saying he hasn't signed a deal yet in terms of the McGregor stuff. Because as we mentioned, I don't know if it was last week or it might have been possibly on it might have been on the Friday show. I don't know. Conor is signed and done the deal with Dana. Basically, they're just waiting on Floyd. Floyd has said, though, it's more than likely that it is going to happen. So at least we can look at that in a relatively positive way. Just having a quick look in case anything has come up in the last couple of days. Apparently, Matt Serra showed Neil deGrasse Tyson how to put on a Kimura on the UFC podcast, which is a bit weird. I don't think a bit is the right word. Very? Probably? Maybe? I don't know. I'm trying to get the pages up with all the info. So yeah, apparently the cyborg thing was with Angela Magana at the retreat. Dana says that the UFC are looking into it. Cyborg put up a statement. It wasn't really too fancy. Also, interestingly, Jimmy Manoa, the British kid from a few shows back, basically has said that the Jones and Cormier stuff is, quote, WWE shit. So he's a wrestling fan. Probably not. In terms of viewership for the Bellator thing, apparently, even though it was pre-taped, there was about 900,000 watching on Spike, which isn't too bad, but it's probably, it's been better on previous appearances and everything. See if there's anything in here. So after Stipe Miocic's win last week at the pay-per-view, he's now number 5 on UFC's pound-for-pound rankings, meaning that the only 4 ahead of him are Demetrius Johnson, Conor McGregor, Daniel Cormier, and Jose Aldo. I'll probably leave it there because most of the other stuff I've got lined up is news that isn't MMA stuff. Whole shit ton of tabs on my tablet.
All right.
But we're looking at it. Morning. We have UFC for now every week for the next 4 weeks. After this, you got UFC June 3rd, June 11th, June 17th, and then Bellator in Madison Square Garden on the 24th, and UFC have a show of their own on the 25th. And then you get a week's break before the UFC International Fight Week / crazy shit happening. So that is the MMA recap or whatever.
All right. This moves us into NXT.
From Chicago.
Yeah, basically
we're going to edit out everything that they just recapped from TakeOver.
Yeah, I am. So basically, there were a few matches that were on the card, and that was about it. I'll get to everything I can. This was all taped before TakeOver. We had Aleister Black versus Kurt Hawkins. Heat on Black for a bit, and then Hawkins worked a Cobra Clutch chin lock. Black ended up fighting out, and he hit exactly chin lock on his back.
As soon as you said that, I was like, shit, where is it?
Black ended up finishing off Hawkins with the Black Mass. And I like the setup as always. He basically just used like his toe to pick up Hawkins by the chin before he laid him out. We don't know the medical status of Johnny Gargano after what happened at TakeOver, and they're still trying to let us know. After what happened before TakeOver, Ember Moon was in the crowd watching on in an empty arena. She said she's on the sidelines. And then Asuka basically got interviewed by Kayla. And Asuka's like, no one can stand toe-to-toe with me. And the women's championship will be mine. Forever.
Forever.
Kayla interviews Roddy. Basically said he's the first man to get a pinfall victory over Eric Young. He's used to overcoming the odds. And he never should have brought his family into it because that was just the nail in the coffin right there. Then we get the debut of the Velveteen Dream.
You mean the debut of Ego Robert Anthony?
Patrick Clark is wearing the Jimi Hendrix headband, but he comes off looking like a cross between Orlando Jordan and Larry B. Scott from Revenge of the Nerds.
I'm guessing that's a bad thing.
And if you don't know who Larry B. Scott is, that's Lamar. Look it up.
Larry Bird? Larry Bird Scott?
Anyway. Patrick Clark, I have to get up too early tomorrow to go with that joke. Anyway. So Patrick Clark shows a lot of athleticism. Good. This is just a very short match. He hits a 180 into basically a tomahawk chop off the top rope. He hits a rude awakening, but instead of twisting the neck before he drops it, he just dropped it. So it was basically a hangman's neck breaker from like Road Warrior Hawk would do it back in the day. That's probably a good way to describe it. And then he hit a huge flying elbow off the top, which I'm going to call Purple Rain for sake of argument. And he got so much airtime that he actually was able to Rob Van Dam it, which what I mean by that is he changed where he was going. Like he basically hit like I can't say he did like a 180 or anything like that. He just kind of changed directions on the flying elbow. And he got the win. So we get a recap of the 2017 match of the year between Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Pete Dunne said basically everything is his, and he made good on the promise. We get a recap of Hideo Itami and Bobby Roode. Bobby's like, you know what? The outcome wasn't a surprise to anyone. Itami's not in my league. My next challenger will be whoever I want. He's going to take some time to himself and decide when he returns. Next week, Roode's going to host a glorious celebration. Bobby Roode, on the other hand, will most likely be programmed with Drew McIntyre. Oh, look, he's in the main event. Drew McIntyre versus Leslie Blake. They go back and forth for a while. It's a decent match for what it is. So basically, McIntyre hits a riding bomb and gets a near fall off of it. Blake works the heat on Drew for a bit on the shoulder. He gets a near fall, and McIntyre fights out of a crossface attempt. And he hits his reverse spine buster for a near fall. Blake hits a single arm DDT, gets an ear fall off of that, and they fight to the top. Drew hits a belly to belly base. Well, it was supposed to be a belly to belly, but he threw him off the top rope. McIntyre does his own version of the red card, not nearly as devastating as Shibata or Gallagher, and he hits the Claymore and gets the win. It was okay. Nothing to write home about, but I mean, it wasn't terrible. And we have some news, Ashley. NXT news. So the tapings for NXT are going to be tomorrow night back in Winter Park at Full Sail. Tickets are completely sold out. And that's information I want to go over real quick. So those tapings are going to be running for a bit. They're not going to be running that long because the next set of Full Sail tapings, Ashley, are June 23rd, long day.
I guess they could do tapings then and then taping sort of mid-July to go into SummerSlam. So.
Yep, because that is the next edition of TakeOver. TakeOver Brooklyn is the next one, and that was pretty much announced this week. Also announced this week, it is official, and tickets will be going on sale very soon. As a matter of fact, tickets are going to be going on sale, I believe, yes, they go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. for the Mae Young Classic Women's Tournament. Now, something interesting about this, they're doing the same thing that they've been doing lately with the pay-per-views and with the TV tapings, like after a pay-per-view. So they're doing a package where you can get both days for one ticket price.
Okay, so much money off, I guess, $10, $15, I don't know.
Something like that. We don't have any information on it yet. I know that if you buy tickets, you only get 4 per person and only 2 transactions per household. So that eliminates the scalpers that used to be in Full Sail all the time. They're still there. But weirdly enough, Ashley, I say this on basically a month, like under a month, basically a day under a month away from the next set of tapings at Full Sail on June 23rd. It's not sold out. There's still tickets available. That says something right there. The Mae Young Classic, more information about that. Basically, is going to be a 32-woman tournament from superstars from all around the globe. It's going to run July 13th and 14th. And here's the interesting thing about the package, Ashley. There's VIP front row seating. And the price of admission for the package will include a commemorative chair that will be autographed by the participants of the tournament that you'll be able to take home with you.
Will it be sat on, though, by any of the participants?
That is a very good question that we will not answer on here.
Then we can do the long-awaited meme.
I ain't gonna lie, that girl had a big ass, though. Everybody say it with me. That ass. That ass.
Oh, blood. So, yeah, that's NXT news. And NXT is going to move us rather rapidly to Ring of Honor.
Well, if you're expecting to talk about a lot here, nope. Not because I haven't seen it. Well, that's a lie. I have. It's just I saw it 3 months ago. Because this entire show is taken from the Ring of Honor on a Rising show that they did in Japan back in February.
Oh, yeah, we already watched that. Haven't we already commented on these matches?
Yeah, but the key thing to note is Ian Riccoboni introduced us, and then it was Kevin Kelly and Rocky Romero.
Wow.
So, LIJ of Sonata Bushi and Evil beat Tiger Mask, Liger, and Delirious. Goto beat Punisher Martinez, which admittedly for the time was for the Intercontinental title. So, understandably, Goto wasn't going to drop it. And then because this is the only way you can get it on television. The Bullet Club of the Bucks, Cody and Kenny Omega taking on and beating Ospreay, Okada, and the Briscoes. The key thing about this stuff, it wasn't Ring of Honor taping it and whatever. It was the New Japan stuff. So there was blurring of like the New Japan logo in the corner.
Wow.
Which was interesting because rather than just stick a Ring of Honor logo over the top of it, they literally blurred it out and then put the Ring of Honor thing sort of in a different spot. So it's like, oh, that's useful. So that means that, you know, a Women of Honor special or a Future of Honor, you know, with some of the people from, I guess, the Ring of Honor school are just getting stuck on YouTube and don't get the chance to make a shine on a television broadcast. So, yeah. For once, a shit show, which is weird because last week's, which should have been a shit show because it was after a pay-per-view, was okay-ish. Even though it was relatively crap and nonsensical, but this makes it look really important because it's like, I get that they're trying to get people to watch New Japan, but don't give them stuff that they've probably already seen. Because I'd say most of the Ring of Honor market that are fans will have already watched the New Japan stuff. A small smattering wouldn't have, but the thing is, are they going to be bothered to spend the $10 or however much they need for the cable stuff to get Access TV if they haven't got it already?
It's a fair point.
Although, there is some Ring of Honor news of sorts. Because, if I get the link, that hopefully works. Yep. Ring of Honor have announced War of the Worlds 2. Or at least War of the Worlds 2017 2. It's going to be Ring of Honor, New Japan, CMLL, and Rev Pro. And basically, it's going to be all in the UK. They're going to have shows on August the 17th at the York Hall in London as part of Rev Pro Summer Sizzler event. Then there'll be a War of the Worlds branded show in the same venue on August the 18th. And an August the 19th show in Liverpool. And then an August the 20th show in Edinburgh. The Liverpool show is at the Olympia, and the Edinburgh show is at the Corn Exchange. I believe the key thing about that is it will be only a few days after the G1 stuff, so I wouldn't expect Kenny Omega to be going there. Then again, there could be a surprise. Who knows? But the key thing to note is I think tickets go on sale this week, I believe. Especially if it's coming up like August time, because they always try and book ahead. So I'd have thought Rev Pro's social media will be the best place to look at in terms of looking into that. In terms of other stuff, sort of fits in with New Japan. The War Machine guys are actually over in Japan supporting the Best of the Super Junior stuff. Because obviously now, because we're in part cards and everything, they need filler matches, and War Machine are going over there to be filler. So expect that to probably build into something if it hasn't already for... Oh no, the Gorillas of Fuck, I think I've already challenged for them. For a one-on-one thing, so... That should be promising. Okay. Ring of Honor's done.
Well, now it's time for New Japan.
Okay. We aren't forgetting WCPW, are we?
Well, I mean, we did because there's nothing. What are we going to talk about? We don't have a show.
Shit ton of announcements, son. We'll do New Japan first and get that
No,
out of the way.
No. New Japan's always how we end before we go to the Indies, so
Okay.
we can talk WCPW now.
So for WCPW, the Canada leg of the World Cup, we now have an official date. It's going to be next Friday, the 26th, or this Friday, sorry, the 26th, 7 p.m. UK time. There probably are results out there. I haven't even bothered to try and find them because I couldn't find them last week just because I was intrigued. Interestingly, though, Henry Mania, the WCPW show that's happening in Edinburgh this Saturday, 27th, is going to be live on What Culture Extra. So there's going to be a shit ton of bloody What Culture to cover. So I think for on that week, I will cover probably the Canada show first, and then the following week cover the Henry Mania show. Just because I need time to pace it out. Probably. Oh, can I though? I just realised. So on that Henry Mania show, Gabriel Kidd defends the internet title against Kenny Williams, and Joe Hendry defends the WCPW title against former champ Martin Kirby. We've also got Drake versus Charles Samuels, a hardcore triple threat with Bad Bones, Scott Wainwright, and Primate. Viper takes on the Session Moth Martina. Kid Fight and Luke King Sharp take on Prospect. Dave Mastiff one-on-one with El Ligero. That's interesting because they've been at it before in various other promotions. And Joe Coffey taking on Rampage as well. Travis Banks isn't on the show because he's busy in another promotion. We'll get to that. Now, the big announcement this week is that the tapings for Loaded for June, July, and August have all been cancelled. The main reason being the YouTube ad situation. Because wrestling is seen as inappropriate content. Their ad revenues have taken a major hit. The example that they noted is they've had over 1 million views on Mysterio versus Alberto from the Mexican World Cup show. You know how much they've made, Owen?
Yeah, I remember, but I don't remember the number off the top of my head.
$43 roughly. At least at the start of this week. So a couple of days back. So that makes it basically not financially viable enough for them to be able to run these live shows because obviously the ad revenue won't be there to sort of cover their costs. So refunds for those that had gone getting sorted out, but they have announced what they're doing instead and a relatively long-term schedule for the next couple of months, actually. So next weekend, June the 2nd, the Friday, WCPW will be doing a free YouTube show entitled Fight Back, which has the sort of YouTube graphics for it. So I guess it's from then they'll sort of do their whole petitioning campaign to actually get YouTube to recognize not just WCPW's wrestling, but all these other wrestling promotions that are getting hit by the ad revenue stuff, to try and get something sorted. They also announced that WCPW Built to Destroy 2017 is happening June 16th. I think those both are in Manchester. Actually, no, Fight Back's Manchester, I think, and Built to Destroy is Newcastle. We already knew that the German leg of the World Cup's in Berlin, July 2nd. The Japan leg, co-promoted with Rev Pro, is on July the 7th in Manchester. We now know all 8 participants for that. So joining Liger, Kushida, Desperado, and Bushi will be Ryosuke Taguchi, a.k.a. Ice on the Testicles and the Dick. We'll get to him. Both of the Tempura boys, Sho Tanaka and Yohei Komatsu, will be on there, as well as Tiger Mask. So they'll be part of that. Then later on in July, the 21st in Manchester, you've got the USA qualifiers for the Pro Wrestling World Cup. The following day on July the 22nd, you've got the rest of the world qualifiers. So that's probably Travis Banks and whoever else is left. Probably Mahabali Shira, God help us. Because I'm trying to think of other nations. I guess Angelico might be a possible as well. I'm trying to think of other nations that haven't been represented yet. And then August 23rd, 24th, and 26th will be the finals in Newcastle of the Pro Wrestling World Cup. Apparently this weekend as well, I think, is the start of this 128-person tournament thing from 5-Star Wrestling that's happening every week. We aren't covering it because it hasn't got very much attraction in any of the media that I've seen. I guess it's happening.
Well, if something comes out of it that's important, we can cover it. But right now,
until it starts to get on our radar after the sort of hot mess that was the last one, especially when you take into account that half the people on that show were either ex-WWE or are now current WWE or contract shitted up. Especially because all the Impact guys wouldn't be able to show up on it now because of the World of Sport stuff. Probably. So that's complicated as shit. So yeah, no stuff. I actually, just looking at that, I've realized we might have to do both next week. Because if you've got two shows in terms of Henry Mania and the Pro Wrestling World Cup, and you've got the free YouTube show the following Friday, in 9 days, 8 days, depending when you're listening to this, 0 days. That's 3 shows in the space of 2 weeks. That's a thing. Anyway, as I dawn on that fact, jump into Japan.
Yep.
Of the new variety. We will get to other Japan stuff in terms of stuff coming up this week. So we continue on with Best of Super Juniors. With night 2, we saw Block A. Well, actually, before we got to the wrestling, they did announce at Kurikan Hall that Tanahashi suffered a rupture to his right bicep, and so he's out of action until the June 9th Kurikan Hall show, which is the build-up to Dominion. So Satoshi Kojima will be replacing him in terms of what he was scheduled to do in terms of the additional matches on the tour shows for Best of Super Juniors. So night 2 was Block A. We had Taichi beating Takumi Shinoku. Dragon Lee beat Marty Skull. Jushin Thunder Liger lost to Hiromu Takahashi. And then they went longer this time. Will Ospreay beat Ricochet again with the Oz Cutter. Still a very good match. Interestingly, Ospreay called out Randy Orton afterwards. I can't think why. Considering, 12 months ago it was fucking Vader. Now it's Randy Orton. Who knows? Next year, Drew Gulak. So then we're in Mie at the Matsuzaka Sanguine Arena for night 3. Most of these shows now are not going to be sort of live. It'll be whatever was broadcast on New Japan World soon afterwards. So with Block B, we had Yoshinobu Kanemaru beat ACH. Tiger Mask victorious over Kushida. El Desperado beat Bushi. And Ryusuke Taguchi beat Volador Jr.
Does that mean the Desperados undefeated?
Well, as of this point, yes.
Okay.
But we'll get to all that. The key thing to note about that is the longest match was Tiger Mask versus Kushida that went just about 10 minutes. The others were all shorter. So, not that much shorter. They were sort of like, there was a 9:47, a 9:58, and a 10:26. So there was sort of like a minute or so's gap in terms of length. But yeah, the longest match, I think the longest match was the actual main event, which I think was like Bullet Club versus Chaos or something. I can't remember because I deleted it off because nothing substantial happened with it. So night 4 in Shizuoka. Back to Block A. Ospreay beats Taka Michinoku. Marty Scurll lives a childhood dream and beats Jushin Thunder Liger. He was marking the hell out for the fact that he was fighting him, yet alone that they actually booked him to win it. Tai Chi beat Dragon Lee. And Ricochet beat Takahashi. The key thing to note, the main event, it was LIJ versus New Japan, I guess. And LIJ came out on top of Naito, Sanada, Evil, and Bushi, beating Kojima, Juice Robinson, Taguchi, and Kushida. However, afterwards, Naito finally destroyed the Intercontinental title. So I guess we are getting a new belt, considering he murdered it. Probably.
I'd wait till they take the title off of him so he doesn't break the new one.
That's probably what's happening at Dominion.
Makes sense.
I'm guessing. So Monday's Best of the Super Juniors was back at Korakuen Hall. So this was aired live. Didn't catch it live because the interesting thing is as well, it was a relatively not busy crowd for Korakuen Hall. I mean, day 2, there was... Oh, brilliant. I took out the numbers where it actually said it. I think it was close to like a couple of thousand. There was only 1,250. There was sparse bits in terms of the crowd this time. So this time it was LIJ versus Kojima, Robinson, Liger, and Dragon Lee in sort of the pre-show stuff. And Robinson won it for his team, pinning Evil. And then Taichi provoked Takahashi during the backstage interview with the pair meeting as part of Night 6, which we'll get to in a minute. So with B Block, Kanemaru beat Volador Jr., Tiger Mask 4 beat ACH, Taguchi lost to El Desperado, and Kushida beat Bushi. And then from Tuesday, back to Block A, only 600 people apparently at Tochigi City General Sports Park Gymnasium. So I'm guessing it's either tiny or nobody bothered to go. In this one, Marty Scurll beat Taka. Liger lost to Ospreay. Hiromu Takahashi beat Taichi. And Dragon Lee beat Ricochet. So the current standings as we go into the next week of stuff. Admittedly, these are all cockeyed because Block A's had 4 sets of matches each, and Block B's had 3. So not all the numbers will be perfect and everything. So for Block A, leading on 6 points, we've got Marty Scurll, Dragon Lee, and Will Ospreay. On 4 points, Ricochet, Takahashi, and Taichi. On 2 points, we've got Tashi Michinoku. And on 0 points and already out of contention, apparently, Jushin Thunder Liger. So the final of time you'll see him in this competition. And I honestly think he's not going to win a single fucking match. What the fuck is going on? Ugh. On Block B, again, this is after 3 matches. Desperado is perfect, 3-0. On 4 points, we've got Taguchi, Kanemaru, and Tiger Mask. On 2 points, Volador Jr., ACH, and Kushida. And Bushi's yet to get off the mark for that one. In a few hours' time, at least if you're watching us live, Ishikawa's got night 7 of the stuff with Block B. That's going to have Tiger Mask versus Kanemaru, Taguchi versus Bushi, Kushida versus ACH, and Volador Jr. versus El Desperado. So is Desperado's streak going to come to an end? We'll have to see. Night 8 on Friday with Block A. Weirdly, all 4 of these are standout because we've got Liger versus Ricochet, Dragon Lee versus Will Ospreay, Marty Scurll versus Tai Chi, and then Taka versus Takahashi, which I think is being possibly billed as the main event for that one. I'm not sure. Saturday, Block B for night 9. Probably the standout one there probably will be ACH, now Desperado. Then again, Volador and Bushi might be good. Also got Kushida and Kanemaru and Tiger Mask and Taguchi. Night 10, Sunday afternoon. So for West Coast, it'll be very early or very late Saturday night into Sunday morning. That'll be Liger versus Dragon Lee, Ricochet versus Taka, Ospreay versus Taichi, and Marty Scurll versus Takahashi. That could be an interesting one. Then Korakuen Hall, so that one will be live on New Japan World for subscribers. For Block B, we've got Tiger Mask versus El Desperado, Taguchi versus Kushida. That'll be pretty impressive. Volador Jr., ACH, and probably another good one as well, and Kanemaru Bushi. And then next Wednesday in Osaka, night 12, which will be the final set of matches for Block A. So Liger's final match in the competition will be against Tai Chi. Ricochet faces Marty Scurll. Dragon Lee versus Taka Michinoku, and Will Ospreay versus Hiromu Takahashi. So basically, by next week, we'll know who's won Block A, and we'll have a good idea of who's still in the running and who's out of the running for Block B, which will be the following day, and then the best of the Super Junior finals is a week on Saturday. And then we're only a week or so away from all that fun of Dominion. I guess it's fun. Maybe. I don't know. So, is this where I pick up the news?
Yep.
We went through that quick. You're relieved about, no doubt. So Sam Adonis, Corey Graves' brother, is starting as color commentator for CMLL's English language coverage on the Fight Network. Interestingly, also, AAA wasn't allowed to air Aerostar and Drago versus Killshot and Marty the Moth from the tapings in Tijuana because Killshot and Marty the Moth are Lucha Underground characters, even though they're owned by AAA. Who knows? Okay. But there's a reason why I haven't heard the 5-Star Wrestling stuff. It isn't this week. 5-Star have announced John Morrison, Chris Masters, Carlito, Moose, PJ Black, and Shelton Benjamin among some of the participants in the 128-man tournament, which apparently is going to be every Saturday night from the 10th of June in Liverpool through to the 30th of December in Manchester, including shows at the biggest arenas in the UK. Well, if so, why haven't they advertised any of them? Because there's quite a few ones that are relatively near me. I haven't heard any of them announced yet. Also, they have announced that they're going to be in the Copper Box Arena in London, which is where the Olympic, I think, basketball happened, back in 2012. I think there's a basketball team that runs out of there now as well. That show's on the 5th of August. So apparently they've announced the first one and the last one and like a random one. But all the other ones, who knows? Part of me wonders whether the reason why the TNA guys, the Impact guys are listed is because the network that broadcast the 5-Star Wrestling stuff is the same network that Impact signed to. So it's probably double publicity. So that's it. So that's interesting. ITV talents are going to be appearing on a rival channel. That is going to be awkward. Probably. I don't know. Travis Flip Gordon did sign with Ring of Honor, by the way.
I figured
both
that.
Ring of Honor and Impact were interested in him, but friends of his steered him to Ring of Honor because he's not signing an exclusive Ring of Honor contract, so he can keep doing his own indie dates. With the feeling being that his name will still be breaking out over the next year, given that he's being pushed in Northeast Wrestling and also working for the Crash. And of course, if he'd signed with Impact, they'd have controlled all his bookings and he wouldn't get a chance to shine. So probably a good choice there to Flip.
Welcome, Jeremy.
Also, interestingly, Marty Skull's in an ad campaign now for Top Man, promoting muscle fit suits. So yeah, and the thing is, the advert identifies him as a wrestler for people that don't know Marty, and then he's all dapper in his suit, and then goes whoop whoop. Apparently, there are some reports, at least from Jeff, that AAA, Noah, and Impact might be working together regarding the AAA World Cup thing. Possibly. I don't know. So in terms of viewers for the Impact stuff, the second week that they said last week that we didn't know about, the reason why we don't know is because it wasn't among their highest rated shows, which means it was below 129,000. The show that aired May 5th to basically episode 3, because that's when I actually look at my list of what it says on the schedule, on my TV guide, it says season 1, episode 3, or whatever it is. So that third show got 135,000. So sort of in and around the 100K mark-ish. Seidel signed with TNA, so he'll be regular from now on. The Ring of Honor deal was a one-off. Dixie wrote on Instagram that she's filming a TV show, apparently, regarding, basically, it'll be a reality show about her life.
Do we actually fucking need that? Please.
Apparently, they were trying out Smackdown picture-in-picture.
Yep.
I never noticed it this week.
I saw it.
It might be because they had the Canadian feed and they just went, nope. Speaking of SmackDown, broadcasting cable publication or whatever had a list of the 10 companies that spent the most money from January through last week in terms of advertising. Guess what the number one company was, Owen? WWE Network. About $100,000 more than number 2, which was Taco Bell, followed by Verizon, the real cost, the anti-smoking stuff. Nutri-Systems, same amount of money as the real cost. Universal Pictures, Domino's, Geico, Burger King, and Subway. Considering USA would have paid about $21 million for the rights to SmackDown, and the revenue from the leading advertisers for that period was only $5 million, that's a big-ass gap. Big ass. In terms of Lesnar's schedule, building up to Dallas, he is apparently going to be on Raw on the 12th of June in Lafayette, Louisiana. Then he'll be at the Staples Center in LA on the 26th. And then, from there, it's pretty much weekly schedule because he'll be in Phoenix for the Go Home show. And then he'll be in Houston for the post-Raw or post Great Balls of Fire Raw in Houston, as I said. Also, and you might have noticed this in terms of Backlash, WWE and Psionic have basically done a partnership for Rocket League. Rocket League sponsoring Backlash, Great Balls of Fire, and SummerSlam. I think some hair shit is sponsoring Money in the Bank, like dandruff stuff. I don't know. Which is interesting because that game's been out for 2 years, and this is the first time they're actually trying mass marketing for the thing. Because it was that successful without needing it. Who knows? Apparently some model and bodybuilder reality show star from Love Island, which is a shit show in the UK, apparently tried out in the London stuff. He's a former stripper. We actually have a real fucking Val Venus and Buff Bagwell. Fucking hell. Interestingly, the WWE website doesn't list this, but a ticket emailer says, guess who's going to be at the July 3rd SmackDown tapings? John Cena. So
Wow.
Who knows whether he will be back for that. Considering it's SummerSlam, I wouldn't be surprised. Because if you can get Cena Nakamura for SummerSlam, people will go, money! There are still apparently open lines of communication involving bringing Moro back to WWE. Apparently there's a lot of water under the bridge and everything. Interestingly, Nakamura will not be part of the NXT UK tour, obviously because of the SmackDown stuff. They did that to pick up ticket sales. If all of a sudden these tickets go on the second-hand market, then it's going to backfire, arguably. WWE signed a TV deal in Turkey with Saran Media, which is a multi-year deal to air edited versions of Raw and SmackDown. Apparently it started May 13th, so last week, with Raw being edited down to 2 hours. Oh my fucking God, you lucky bastards. Upcoming DVD releases. The Seth Rollins thing, which I guess is the 24 stuff, that's coming out this coming Tuesday. July the 4th is the Kevin Owens DVD. Yes. Make it in your fucking calendars. Kurt Angle's DVD, 1st of August. The unreleased 1985 to 1995 package is coming on the 5th of September. Interestingly, a WWE 1997 DVD called Dawn of the Attitude Era. So basically, what led to sort of the end of the Monday Night Wars, because WWE started winning. That's going to be out on the 3rd of October. And then there's going to be a second NXT documentary thing called From Secret to Success, coming out on the 5th of December, along with all the other ones and whatever. In terms of the most watched shows from a couple of weeks back, the Finn Balor WWE 24 was number 1 by far. Talking Smack did make it in the top 10, though, along with 205 Live. So overall, pretty good. Even NXT from the week before was number 10, with that week's NXT being number 2. I think there ain't any new news from Dave. I better check in case he's put it up early. No, he hasn't. There is some other stuff, though, that's come through from the main stuff. CMLL. This shit. So, Friday morning at Arena Mexico, there was footage that got captured showing several members of the Alvarado family destroying Ultimo Guerrero's car. Featuring Maximo Sexy, La Mascara, Brazo de Platino, Psycho Clown, who was without his mask, and also Robin, who was also without his mask. Most of them were standing around while the others smashed up the car. According to Cubs fan, you know, the expert of all the Mexican lucha libre stuff, who was at the show, the parking garage is a public area, and the video that was shot started being passed around within the wrestling world on Friday morning until it got leaked on Facebook right before the show started. The speculation that it's basically to do with the union. Brazo de Oro passed away on April the 28th, and it's been claimed that Ultimo Dragon was basically named as the new head of the union, and the Alvarado family was furious, and also apparently the CMLL security people didn't even stop the attack and whatever. Maximo Sexy got pulled off the Friday show, and Psycho Clown is pretty popular and everything. So then it came through that basically Maximo Sexy and La Mascara have now been fired, by the looks of it, with Ultimo Dragon, basically pressing charges. So police are involved in the shit. Trying to see. So yeah, it's official. Oh, and also Bobby Villa has been fired. The interesting fact is that Bobby wasn't in the videotape, but apparently has been implicated. So a bit odd on that front. I don't know if there's been any updates on that since. Let me have a quick look. Is that today's stuff? No, that's not. That is. Let's see if there's any new news on that. Don't think there is. You know, it's weird enough as it is. All that stuff. No, it's just WWE related stuff. So yeah, I mean, that's interesting, especially because there's quite a few both Max. Well, I guess Psycho Clown would have been AAA, so I guess he was just there, to stand up for the family name and whatever. So I guess AAA don't care. Interesting, Vampiro seems to be implying that those guys that did get fired from CMLL might be in AAA or the Crash or other promotions relatively soon. So I guess somebody might be benefiting from all that. There was also some news regarding the whole Matt and Jeff versus Impact stuff. Ed Nordholm, put out an entire sort of statement to PW Insider in terms of their conversations and everything. You can find all the details there, really, about it. Basically, they're putting their side forward, stating that the contracts basically say that anything that's done while working for us becomes our property under the work for hire rules, which is the same for everything that they've pretty much had in terms of the company. The Hardys are supposedly thinking of hitting back with transcripts of the phone conversations that were happened. So, who knows? That's a complicated fucking mess. They've also been announcing names for King of Trios weekend in Birmingham, England, this Labor Day week. So, the theme is Game of Thrones related, so everybody's a house rather than a team. So we've got House Sendai Girls, which is Maiko Satomura, Dash Shisako, and Cassandra Miyagi. I think that's a different team to the Sendai Girls from last year. It may not be. Might be the same three. They're sort of the defending champions. We've also got the House of Rot, which is Hallowicked, Frightmare, and Kobold. House Cyberhawk, so which is Silverhawk, Razorhawk, and Nighthawk. And just added House Calamari, a.k.a. CCK. Chris Brooks, Travis Banks, and Kid Lycos. We've got to add another 12. Some of them are obviously going to be Shikara-related ones, but obviously some of them aren't. I'm guessing we're going to get some more UK guys, probably, to showcase, not just CCK. I don't know who. I'm hoping it's good. God, it'd be weird to have Joe Hendry in King of Trios. Joe, make it happen, son. Please. In terms of other stuff, Tony Nese actually went on Twitter and rightly berated a fan. Apparently, during that Senton spot with the table that I mentioned earlier, Owen, some bloke was looking at his phone and not giving a shit.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
This shit was happening in front of him. Like, brilliant. The watch party event for Impact Wrestling scheduled for this Friday in Manchester has obviously been cancelled because of all the terrorist attack that happened on Monday. Naito spoke to Sports Illustrated about various things, including WWE and, of course, the Long Beach shows coming up. They've announced that as part of the Pro Wrestling World Cup Japan show, in non-tournament action will be Tomohiro Ishii. Ooh, that should be good. Also, Rev Pro's announced the full list of the British J Cup participants. So it's Tiger Mask 4, Jushin Thunder Liger, Kushida, Will Ospreay, Marty Skull, Kyle O'Reilly, Josh Bodom, and Ryusuke Taguchi. That's pretty good. Lucha Underground's back next week, just as a reminder. Because we'll all be, you know, begging it not to come back eventually. In what was very awesome, Adam Cole and apparently Rick Knox got killed off on Being the Elite this week. Also, we had some very good promos, I would argue, from Cody. Fuck the Revival. I can't believe that's still a thing.
Yep.
I'm not complaining. It's just the other bits it'll probably be better too when we get to results and upcoming stuff this weekend, because it relates into a heck of a lot of what's happened and what's coming up. So starting off with what went down last weekend. Fight Club Pro had their Dream Tag Team Invitational Hangover at the new venue of the Starworks Warehouse. In the dark match, Omari won a four-way between beating George Galloway, Johnny T, and Carl Fletcher. And on the main card, Wolfgang beat Joe Coffey. Kaylee Ray defeated Chris Wolf. CCK of Monday Lycos / Kid Lycos and Chris Brooks beating Scarlett and Graves and the Hunter Brothers. In a five-way, Jordan Devlin beat Jimmy Havoc, Dan Maloney, Eddie Dennison, and Angelico. In the fans bring the alcohol match, it was Shea Purser that got the win over Session Moth Martina. The reason why it was fans bring the alcohol, May 19th was Shea Purser's 18th birthday. And of course, in the UK, 18 is the legal limit for, or the legal age that you can start drinking alcohol from. Obviously, in America, it is the 21s. So Tyler Bate can't get drunk. That's not good. And finally, Travis Banks retained the Fight Club Pro title against Trent Seven. And then 24 hours later, he just tweeted, "My boys." I can't think why. Match of the year. CWF Mid-Atlantic's Madness in Any Direction. We had Dirty Daddy and Snooty Fox beat Movie Mike and Timmy Danger. Sis victorious over Ethan Alexander Sharp. The Carnies beat Donnie Dollars and Kevin Koo. Or Q, I don't know. KU, how do you pronounce that? I don't know. Kane Justice beat Cecil Scott in a non-title match. The Sandwich Squad beat Cam Carter and James Ryan. For the Mid-Atlantic tag titles, the Dawson brothers retained over Lucas Calhoun and the Proletariat Boar of Moldova. Chet Sterling retained the Ultra J title, beating Logan Easton LaRue. Nick Richards beat Brad Attitude. Eric Andrews retained the Mid-Atlantic TV title over Mitch Connor. And then Chip Day and Trevor Lee beat Eric Royal and Roy Wilkins in the main event. House of Hardcore 26 from the Sports Arena in St. James, New York. Started off with Little Guido Maritato beating Papadon. Matt Stryker beat TJ Marconi. Alex Reynolds with Maria Manic and Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I thought they split up in CZW. What? Alex Reynolds beat Lance Anoa'i. Moose victorious over Dan Maff. Rhett Titus beat Ben Ortiz, Ball James, and Pat Buck in the four-way. Bully Ray's open challenge was answered by EC3. Bully Ray won that one. The Spirit Squad beat Team Tremendous and NOW of Hal Collins and Vic Delicious. And the main event saw Cody Rhodes beat Tommy Dreamer. And afterwards, Tommy said, I love Dusty. And Cody then, after, sort of being nice and everything, beat the shit out of Tommy, and then Sandman made the save and Cody ran off. Because that's a thing. I haven't got any results for the Old Wrestling Speakeasy Spectacular, though they have announced that their next show, the amazing event, I guess 4, because it would be the anniversary show. It's happening, I think, August 27th. So quite a way down the line. PWX, What Lies Beneath. Does it feature Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer? No. In Concord, North Carolina. Opened with PWX ITV champ Elijah Evans retaining the belt, beating James Drake. Interestingly, prior to this, the special guest GM Teddy Long banned Elijah Evans' teammates from ringside, but it was the interference from his manager, Tommy Thomas, and apparently a sledgehammer shot. That's good. That got the win. High profile of Shea McGrady, and Will Demented beat Ace Austin and Malachi Matthews, which was a tag team match made by Teddy Long, of course. Tracer X beat Darius Lockhart. Corey Hollis beat David Starr. Following, Hollis continued to attack Starr and was going to Pillmanize the leg, but John Skyler came out for the save. John Skyler then beat Jonathan Gresham in his match. Hollis did stay at ringside and then attacked Gresham afterwards. And then Skyler left him. So, confrontation stuff there. Now, then Zane Riley came out, interrupting Teddy Long, I guess, who was speaking, and told him, there's only one thing you've got to do tonight. One-on-one match with The Undertaker. And Teddy said, well, that's exactly what I'm doing. And Undertaker's music hits. And here comes White Mike, a.k.a. The Underwear Taker. Randomly, Jake Manning decided to get involved with this, so it became a triple threat, which Jake Manning won. Apparently, Zane Riley did call timeout, thank the fans towards the end, and then got DDT'd by Manning. Interestingly, Zane Riley left his armband, his Revolt armband, in the middle of the ring, so I guess Zane's done? Possibly? Is he going to the E? Damn it. The Syndicate then beat the Ugly Ducklings to win the PWX tag titles. And then Anthony Henry beat Ethan Case via referee stoppage. Basically, Case couldn't respond to the referee's commands while in a Dragon Sleeper. As soon as he was let go when the bell was rung, he immediately was awake and was very upset, basically. The fact that the referee clearly didn't try to get a response or anything properly. So, I think a rematch somewhere down the line. Then we have the Beyond Wrestling. Well, I guess it starts off with the Women's Wrestling Revolution and then Beyond Wrestling doubleheader. The Arts of the Armory in Somerville, Massachusetts. So the women's show opened with a Vader Scott Open Challenge because apparently Chelsea Green isn't there. The Open Challenge is answered by Laurel Van Ness in a wedding dress and wine bottle. And Vader went, this is an open challenge, not an open bar. And Laurel goes, why not both? Basically, at the end, Van Ness gets distracted, flirting with the ref. Vader takes a drink. Miss Laurel hits a Shining Wizard and gets the win. From what I've heard, this match went over shit because it's like they came to see women's wrestling and they got some drunk woman in a dress. Good job. Faye Jackson, replacing the injured Solo Darling, made the most of it, beating Skyler. The On Terribles of Leah Vaughn and Caitlin Diamond, apparently they're Canadian and hate America, which is why they lost to Team C-Stars of Ashley Vox and Delmi Exo. Davienne beat Maria Manic. Interestingly, in a CZW thing that got put out, it looks as if Maxwell Jacob / whatever the hell his last name is, depending what promotion it is, because they don't want to say Feinstein because of that stuff. If you don't know what that stuff is, Google RF video and To Catch a Predator.
LOL, I'll pretend you said 18.
The interesting thing is Maxwell was like backstage and sort of trying to make amends with Penelope. So it looks as if there's a sort of love triangle thing there. I mean, okay, this is a different promotion and everything, but that stuff was weird. MJ Jenkins beat Vanity. Taylor Hendricks victorious over Rachel Ellering. Bobby Hayden beat Alexis. And in the main event, Jordan Grace beat Tessa Blanchard. The interesting thing about this, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They had 8 matches. These 8 matches lasted 90 minutes. And then the main Beyond Wrestling show, Jordan Grace beat Jonathan Gresham. Wow, so she did like back-to-back matches, technically. Wow. Chuck O'Neill's Open Challenge was answered by Carl the Beast. Chuck won. AR Fox beat Brandon Watts. David Starr victorious over Tessa Blanchard. Team Tabernacle Team beat Team Triple XL. Wheeler Utah won the 4-way against Ryan Gallione, Rex Lawson, Mikey Webb. Maxwell Jacob Friedman victorious over Bucks Belmar. EYFBO beat the Gentleman's Club. John Silver beat Sami Callihan in the main event. Beyond Wrestling, I think they're doing, along with a whole load of other promotions, are doing some sort of like convention sort of thing in I think it's July the 11th. But Beyond Wrestling's proper next show, entitled Go With The Flow in the Melrose Memorial Hall on Saturday, June 24th. As you can expect, because of the title, Go With The Flow, that's going to be on Flow Slam. I believe that's going to be possibly the afternoon show to head into Evolve, I think. I think Evolve's June 24th, from what I remember. Yeah, I think it's 24th and 25th. I'll get to that in a minute because I've got them. No results from Freelance Wrestling standalone show from Friday, but we have got Saturday's co-promoted show with Resistance Pro, the Battle of Chicago. The 6-man scramble was won by Acid Jazz, beating Alex Olson, the Space Monkey, Giassi, Travis Titan, and Dante Leon. Hardcore Heather beat BD Smooth in a hardcore match. Mojo McQueen and Yabo the Clown won the Resistance tag titles off Main Street Youth. DeCobra beat Daniel Ads to retain the Resistance Pro title. Matt Cage, Joey Ryan, and Chris Castro beat Team Beta of Mitchell, Nixon, Sutra. And in the main event, John Skyler, Eric Cannon, Man Pondo, and Shug D beat Darren Corbin, Ethan Page, Willie DeBomb Richardson, and Cody Jones. Then we get to Evolve, the doubleheader, starting off in the afternoon with basically before that Battle of Chicago was the not Battle of Chicago, Evolve 84. This, from what I've heard, a really good show. Not really anything atrocious in it. Opened with Keith Lee beating Donovan Dijak. Said to be a good match. Another good match was Fred Yehai beating Jason Kincaid. Leo Rush beat Austin Theory. Tracy Williams beat Jeff Cobb. Catchpoint of Dickinson and Yaka retained the tag titles against Matt Nixon and Isaias Velasquez. Zack Sabre Jr. retained the Evolve title against Ethan Page. And the main event saw Matt Riddle retain the WWN title over Kyle O'Reilly. The thing is, at least from quite a few of the reports I've seen, nearly all this card is pretty damn good. With like the couple of matches that aren't really damn good being solid. So overall, not too bad a show, arguably. And then Sunday's show in Livonia, Michigan, opened with Dominic Garrini beating Alex Daniels. So I guess they must have come out the seminar thing at the start. So not bad for two AIW guys then. Catchpoint retained the Evolved Tag titles against Jason Kincaid and Austin Theory. Allison Kay beat Priscilla Kelly. Apparently this was a Shine showcase and is the first women's match that's happened in Evolve since Mercedes Martinez versus Awesome Kong for the Shine title, I think, or some sort of Shine thing, back at Evolve 5 7 years ago. But the thing is, it sort of was Priscilla Kelly sort of getting squashed pretty much. So it wasn't too brilliant, really, from what the reports say. Ethan Page beat Donovan Dijak with a spinning Dwayne. So I think per the stipulation that was made, like the day after TakeOver and before this show, is Ethan now gets to be in charge of basically Flow Slam's YouTube channel and produce content for it. At least for the next few weeks or something. So I hope Ethan's going to give us some really good stuff, because I know, shoot-wise, breaking kayfabe, he's damn good at video content. So I'm hoping he's actually doing it, because then it's like putting himself forward as if to audition himself more to the WWE, because I'm pretty sure that's where he wants to go, considering, he does the spinning Dwayne. Just a clue. Tracy Williams beat Kyle O'Reilly, which is interesting. Kyle's lost both matches this weekend. Keith Lee beat Fred Yehai. Then Matt Riddle retained the WWE title over Jeff Cobb, and Zack Sabre retained over Leo Rush. Solid show again. Interestingly, afterwards, Keith Lee came out to challenge Zack Sabre, but then Riddle interrupted and said, "I've got the superior title." Ethan Page then attacked Sabre, and then Catchpoint attacked Riddle, and Jason Kincaid made the save. And basically, Riddle and Keith Lee agreed to a title match. So that's going to be coming up, I'm guessing, in the June shows, probably. That should be fun. And then we get to PWG. So, apparently the truck thing, it wasn't late and everything because it had to pick the ring up. It's because the U-Haul truck broke on the way over to the venue. So it took them that long to get it. So not too much active stuff happened on the show, considering, everything that had happened. I need to go to PW's Twitter to get the stuff that I need. So Keith Lee beat Trevor Lee with the Spirit Bomb. The Chosen Bros of Cobb and Riddle beat Red Dragon when Cobb threw Bobby Fish into a GTS. Elgin beat Strickland with the Elgin Bomb. Sammy Callahan victorious over Adam Cole, reversing a suplex attempt into a small package. And then Adam said, I'll always have my heart here. Obviously, because if he is a free agent, he could be back, but we'll have to see. Leo Rush beat Mark Haskins with a frog splash. Said to be very good, that one. The Lucha Brothers retained the tag belts over the Young Bucks with a double stomp package pole driver combo. And then Zack Sabre Jr. beat Trent via submission with a single leg stretch muffler. So the news from all of this, the next show, June 16th, which is Man on the Silver Mountain, we have the card now. Jason Cade will be making his PWG debut to take on Desmond Xavier. Jake Chris takes on Trevor Lee. And Leo Rush faces Keith Lee. And then quite a few tag team things. It's as if they've been missing out on a tag team tournament for the past 2 years. The Best Friends of Chuck and Trent take on the Chosen Bros of Cobb and Riddle. War Machine of Rowan Hansen face the Unbreakable Effing Machines of Cage and Elgin. And also Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly facing the Leaders. I think it's the Leaders for the New Revolution or something. Leaders of a New Revolution. I think that was the name of the tag team. Basically Sabre Jr. and Marty Scurll. And also Matt Sydal takes on Sammy Callahan. So I guess Impact guys can work BWG. Tickets for that show, bit different. They're going on sale this coming Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific. Not your Thursday time as usual. This Tuesday. So 11 Eastern. If you are going to travel over, make sure you're there early on the website to try and get those tickets because they will go fast. They have announced, though, as well, a couple of other events. Pushing Forward Back is going to be coming on July the 7th. And then the big one, the Battle of Los Angeles, is on Labor Day weekend. So just like last year, King of Trios is happening at the same time as Bowler. Although, interestingly, because of the UK time difference, actually, Shikara will be ahead of Bowler all the time. That's pretty advantageous, isn't it? So I can go to bed, wake up in the morning, see what happened at Bowler, go to night 3 of Trios, go to sleep, and then wake up and see what happened at see what happened in the finals of Bowler. That would be fun. So this weekend, there's a shit ton of stuff. So Dragon Gate Japan have got their Kurikan Hall show. Nothing really of note happening on it. They've still got the King of Gate series going on. I don't know how to trace the blocks, though, because there's no sort of standings or everything with what's going on with it, so I'm not sure. Although the main event of Shingo Takagi versus BB Hulk on its own seems pretty good. ICW's got another set of Fight Club tapings at the Garage in Glasgow. I think they're sold out. I'm not sure. Actually, from what I remember, I think they are. Well, certainly very limited tickets. Preston City Wrestling have got a doubleheader this weekend. Friday, they're going to be at the Circle in Bradford. With on the card set to happen on the card anyway. Matthew Brooks versus Dave Birch and Helico versus Matt Riddle. Martin Kirby and Joey Hayes taking on T-Bone and Yeston Reese. Lewis Gervin versus Sona Durson. Freeway with Arcadian, Alex Matthews and Philip Michael. And Bubblegum and Desmond Xavier. Plus a special appearance from Joe Gertner. Well. Speaking of well, apparently later that night, I don't know whether they'll be able to get over in time entirely, because the show's supposed to finish at around 9:45 local time. There's a secret show happening at 11 o'clock at the PCW Academy in Preston. Because it's secret, you basically won't know what it is. It could be Academy students, it could be main roster, it could be some of the international stars. So I guess they can get over from Bradford quickly enough. I guess if they're in the first match, they probably can. Probably. So I don't know whether that means Matt Riddle's going to be in the secret show. I don't know whether the secret show is going to be put up on Facebook, because I know Preston City Wrestling have been putting up some of the shows on Facebook recently, or at least some of the matches. And considering it's the secret show, it might be. I don't know. Then Saturday, they're going to be at their usual home of the Evoke in Preston. On this one, more Joel, of course. In terms of matches, we've got Chris Ridgway versus Lewis Gervin. A four-way with Alex Matthews, Arcadian, Sona Durson, and Dean Allmark. In tag action, we've got Joey Hayes and Danny Hope taking on Lionheart and CJ Banks. Zachary Wentz goes one-on-one with Matthew Brooks. And Helico faces Desmond Xavier. And T-Bone and Yestin Reese face Philip Michael and Bubblegum. Alpha 1 this Sunday at the Polish Hall in Oshawa, Ontario, have a show called Marvelous, which they're stylizing sort of in a red and white font as if it's a Marvel thing. It's probably on purpose because, you know, Ethan Page is a Marvel and sort of anything nerdy fan. On the card, just recently had in the last day or two, Young Miles taking on Ricky Shane Page. Justin Sane versus Gregory Iron. Space Monkey takes on Daniel C. Rockingham in a Zero Gravity number 1 contenders match. In an ODQ grudge match, the Virus takes on Shane Sabre and Ethan Page. Another grudge match, except this time it is DQ, I guess. And the big man representing Stokely and Guarini side is banned from ringside. So, yeah, it's Guarini taking on Eric Carney. I'm not sure. Alessandro Del Bruno defends the Zero Gravity title against Alex Daniels. And Kobe Durst defends the Alpha Male title against Kobe versus Eddie Kingston. Ooh. Wow. So the next one's a bit weird. It's technically a Lucha Toronto show / Lucha in the Sixes, depending what they want to be called. It's sort of being done with Smash Wrestling, though. So the positive thing is, because of this, we actually have a card. It's Vampiro's Underground Invasion. The show is sold out. There are limited tickets, at least as of me talking about this now. They might have sold out already, though, so probably the best way is to catch up with Smash on demand if it's on there. It might be, I don't know. Set for that card, we've got Halal Beefcake versus the Fraternity, Freddie Mercurio versus John Greed, Carter Mason taking on Tyson Dukes, Space Monkey, Sebastian Suave, and Scotty O'Shea in a triple threat. And then your Lucha Underground doubleheader, I guess, main event. The Mac takes on Son of Havoc, and Drago versus Aerostar. C4, Capital City Championship Combat Wrestling, has a show this Saturday. Attack the Block. Does it feature John Boyega? Probably not. And its usual home of the Vanier Columbus Club in Ottawa, Ontario. On this card, making his return to the promotion, Dirty Bucks Belmar. For the first time ever, Viking one-on-one with Brute Van Slyke. In a six-way scramble, I don't know whether this is for the title. The Underground champ Kobe Durst takes on Brent Banks, Sebastian Suave, Cecil Nick, Shane Sabre, and Vanessa Craven. Michael Von Payton goes one-on-one with Mark Reeler. In a four-corner match, which I think is for the tag titles, Heavy Metal Chaos of James Stone and Alex Stream defend against Fight or Flight with Vorm Vertigo and Gabriel Fuerza. The Fraternity of Channing Decker and Trent Gibson, as well as High and Mighty of Jonathan Rukin and Velvet Jones. We've also got Josh Alexander versus Tyson Dukes. For the first time ever, Evil Uno goes one-on-one with Big Willie Mack. Oh, yeah. In the number one contendership to the C4 title, the C4 World title, Stu Grayson goes one-on-one with Thomas Dubois. So sort of the tag team of St. Jack and Grayson and the Tabernacle team of Dubois and Jack. So is that a tag team? Menage a trois? I don't know. Love triangle? Something? Anyway, Matty St. Jack is defending the title in a three-way dance, no DQ, no count-out match, taking on the Beast King FTM and the Space Monkey. Oh my God, if the Space Monkey wins, I will lose my shit as if I actually was a monkey. So WWN have got a double header of shows this weekend. Friday at the Orpheum in Ybor City, FIP's Accelerate 2017 is happening. Featuring Aria Blake and Dynamite DD versus Priscilla Kelly and Lindsay Snow. Matt Lancey versus Jay Spade in terms of the World Cup Sports Showcase. Also, there's a WWN versus World Cup Sports six-man tag with Paro, Drennan, and Odinson versus Bukudao, Socorro, and Danny Flamingo. Four-way fully style action with Jason Cade, Austin Theory, James Drake, and John Cruz. Jason Kincaid takes on AR Fox. In a bounty match, it'll be Anthony Henry versus Teddy Stigma. And then your two title matches, John Davis retains the Florida Heritage defends the Florida Heritage title. Did he give anything away, even though I have no clue what the results are? John Davis defends the Heritage title against Caleb Connolly, and Fred Yehai defends the FIP World title against Martin Stone. That will be on Flow Slam live if you can't make it to the venue in person, as will the Style Battle, episode 4 of season 1 on Saturday in Tampa, Florida, the Ivy Astoria Event Center. The Fray, they've announced participating in the names include AR Fox, Anthony Henry, Buku Dow, Danny Flamingo, Matt Lancey, and Jay Spade. More will probably be added. And in terms of the brackets for the Style Battle itself, we've got Jason Kincaid versus Socorro, and Odinson versus Austin Theory in bracket A. And then in bracket B, James Drake versus Ethan Case and Sean Maluta taking on Jason Kincaid. Wrestle Circus have a show this Saturday in Austin, Texas, 800 Congress Avenue. The Lucha Carnival. For those of you that can't make it there, it is on iPay-per-view. Just go to wrestlecircus.com/IPPV for the details. The VIP meet and greet is at 4. The doors open at 5:15 local time with the bell time of 6. The first hour of the show will be aired for free as well if you, I guess, want to see some of the show on irwnetwork.com, apparently. 4 matches confirmed so far. There's normally like 12 or 13 because they do a crazy amount of stuff on the show. Garza Jr. one-on-one with Dirty Andy Dalton. Zenchi versus Jordan Lennox. Jerry Ryan defends the Wrestle Circus Sideshow title against the boys. That's Dalton Castle's boys, by the way. And I guess the main event so far, because it's only 4 matches. Sorry to the other guys. Michael Elgin one-on-one with Scorpio Sky. That could be nice. House of Glory this Saturday as well in Jamaica, New York. In case you're wondering why I'm jumping about, I'm just going in order of sort of size of promotions or if there's a big event coming, because we'll get to the big ones later on. The full card isn't fully out yet for this, but House of Glory's Adrenaline features The Trust with Evander James, Smooth Blackmon, and Chris Senton versus Brian XL coming back from sort of retirement, along with 2 partners. Which, considering that also set to appear are Booker T, Brian Burgundy, Matt Travis, TJ Marconi, Sonia Strong, and more, could be some combination of them, probably. EYFBO defend the tag titles against Red Dragon. Ken Broadway takes on Leo Rush with both the House of Glory Crown Jewel title and the CZW Heavyweight title on the line. And Anthony Gangon defends the House of Glory heavyweight title against some bloke called Cody Rhodes. I'm guessing Cody isn't winning, but I could easily be surprised. AAW, I've got a Thursday night special. Guess what? It's tomorrow/Thursday at the Berwyn Eagles Club in Berwyn, Illinois. Standing room and general admission tickets are available for $20 and $30 respectively. Set for the card so far, a four-way with Laredo Kid, Jake Crisp, Myron Reed, and Joey Janela. In Tag Team Mayhem, it's triple threat tag team action as Trey Miguel and Stephen Wolf take on Alex Daniels and Davey Vega. I think that's the besties in the world. And also Team Tremendous. Colt Cabana one-on-one with Trevor Lee. Keith Lee faces Donovan Dijak. The artist formerly known as Jack Swagger one-on-one with Michael Elgin. Ray Phoenix and AR Fox defend the AAW tag belts against Leo Rush and Shane Strickland. That should be pretty good. And Sami Callihan defends the heavyweight title against Juventud Guerrera, because that's random. Then Shikara's Anniversario show, the School Reunion. So yeah, it's still Doctor Who themed, but the reason why it's the School Reunion is because they're going back to Hellertown, Pennsylvania, at the American Legion Hall, a venue they haven't been to for close to, if not more than a decade, where the very first show actually happened, I believe, and certainly some of the very earlier ones for Shikara, which are, I think, on Shikaratopia for you to catch if you want to. The match is confirmed so far. Missile Assault Man puts his 2 points up for grabs against Oleg the Usurper. If Missile Assault Man wins, he has an opportunity to get the 3 points to challenge Juan Francisco de Coronado, the current champ, which, of course, they got previous history there. Crossbones one-on-one with Murloc. The Golden Dreams tag team match, Mark Angelisetti and Fire Ant take on Jigsaw and Eric Cannon. The Campeonatos de Parejas are on the line with Sonny Defarge and Cornelius Crummels defending against Des Peloton of Jasper Tippins and Donald Kluger. And then we've got the interesting one. I'm guessing it's the Rudos and the Technicos. Now, we know the Rudo side, which is Halawicked, Frightmare, Juan Francisco de Coronado, Granakuma, and El Heo de Ice Cream. They haven't listed yet who is going to be part of, I guess, the Technicos, the good guys, which is somewhat a little strange, possibly. I'm just checking to see if they've listed anything with Shikara. Come on, Twitter. Tell me. No, that's at the next show. Damn it. I'll keep scrolling through that while I go through the rest. So the big two events this week are the tournaments. So we'll start off with AIW and the JT Lightning Invitational Tournament. Over 2 days, this coming Friday and Saturday at the Our Lady of Mount Carmel venue in Cleveland, Ohio. So we don't know any matches for the second night. We do know that Adam Cole's going to be there. He's probably facing somebody. So in terms of the brackets, all 12 of these matches will be on the first night. And then it will be six second round matches, 3 semifinals, and then a triple threat final on the on the second day. Sorry. So these are the brackets in order from top to bottom. So we've got Hot Sauce Tracy Williams versus Eddie Kingston. The winners of that will face Carini and Little Guido. Then the rest of Section A is Jimmy Rave taking on Filthy Tom Lawler and Mike Toller versus Britt Baker. So in theory, looking at that, you could have a semi-final of Eddie Kingston versus Filthy Tom Lawler. Murder. In Section B, Joey Janela takes on Laredo Kid. Super Crazy versus Matt Cross. Gringo Loco faces Colin Delaney. And Steve Payne versus Alex Daniels. And then in the other interesting bracket, bracket C, we've got Sean Schultz versus Ethan Page. Mordecai versus Swoggle. So Ethan Page, if he does win, which I'm guessing he will, who knows, is going to have to face Mordecai or Swoggle. Because that's a thing. And then Colt Cabana takes on the Space Monkey and Matt Justice faces Facade. So we could have Ethan Page versus Space Monkey. Could be interesting in itself as well. And then also the other tournament happening this weekend is Progress Wrestling with the Super Strong Style 16 tournament. Happening. Well, it's not even worth telling you where it's happening because the shows are all sold out, of course, because it's Progress Wrestling. If you haven't seen Progress Wrestling's YouTube channel, they did this because basically the guy that co-runs the thing is part of the UK tour for the Buddy Holly musical. And he got his two colleagues that are also part of the show. One of them likes to draw, so he drew representations of all these people. And the other, both of these know nothing about wrestling, by the way. So these are completely at random by the looks of it. So the order that it is, in terms of the brackets, we've got Jack Sexsmith versus Zach Gibson. Zack Sabre Jr. versus David Starr, which on paper, that's a great first round match. Also great first round matches in the second, or in the top half of the bracket, I should say. Jimmy Havoc versus Travis Banks, the winner of which would take on Mark Andrews and Flamita in the quarters. Man, that looks good. Then Tyler Bates, I guess if he isn't jet lagged, because of the NXT tapings. I am wondering whether if they have to, because if Bate gets stuck and everything, whether he's got to fight like multiple times on the Saturday, because that match might not be able to happen. Who knows? Anyway, Tyler's taking on Paston William Eva. The winner of that faces Mark Haskins or Flash Morgan Webster. Then in a pretty interesting one, Trent Seven takes on Matt Riddle. And Jeff Cobb versus Nathan Cruz. So the Chosen Bros could go head-to-head in the second round. That's interesting. They have also announced, though, a couple of other matches. The Day 2 main event will be the crowning of the first ever Progress Women's Champion as part of the National Progression Series final. The three competitors being Ginny, Tony Storm, and Laura Di Matteo. And then Day 3 includes Roy Johnson's Wasteman Challenge and a number one contenders match between Kaylee Ray and Katie Harvey. Because basically, Day 2 will have a champion. Day 3, we need to determine a challenger, I guess, for Chapter 50 in a few weeks. I think it's a few weeks. Maybe, maybe not. I have to see. Progress has also announced as well they're heading over to America again. This time they're going to New York the week before SummerSlam. So Progress Wrestling takes over New York. I think it's Elmhurst. Go to Progress Wrestling's website. I think tickets for that go on sale this Friday. Along with, I think, tickets for Ali Pali, which is the September show that we talked about last week. So, amazingly, basically because Owen needs some sleep, we've managed to get through that in about 2.5 hours. Despite the fact that, let me just quickly go for, if you don't include the number of days, that's Progress, AIW, Shikara, AAW, House of Glory, Wrestle Circus, WWM, which I'll band together even though it's FIP and Style Battle, whatever. C4, Smash Wrestling, Lucha Toronto, Alpha One, Crescent City Wrestling, ICW, Dragon Gate Japan, the UFC stuff, and New Japan. That's 15 bloody shows that we've gone through.
And now it's time to end the show. So
the positive thing for next week is, let me just have a quick look. There's only like 4 or 5 things. I think there's like a freelance wrestling show, Ring of Honor live Events, Rev Pro have got a thing. Not as much, thankfully. So we can breathe.
All right, so that's your show tonight. Real quick, I want to shout out Jeremy Mills in chat. He wished you a happy early birthday.
Oh shit! Is it birthday? Is he shorty? Does that mean he can use a 50%? 50-cent track.
Oh boy. So yeah, that's. Thank you, Jeremy, again. And once again, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Follow us on Twitter if you'd like at Popcast Network. Check out our Facebook fan page at Popcast Network. Finally at 200 likes. Thank you everyone for making that a possibility. Also, follow me on Twitter at Sir Owen Disney. And Sip and Snack will be midway tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. AJ takes over the weekend once more with Fargo on Friday, movies on Saturday, and Versus on Sunday. Gamer with Ash back on Monday. Ashley, where can we find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter at Ash is my name UK.
All right.
Apparently.
So I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. We'll be back here on Monday at 11:15, 11:20-ish for our Monday Night Raw Popcast. Back here next Wednesday for the Wednesday Wrestling Popcast at 9 p.m., which is the return of Lucha Underground here on the Popcast Network. So we'll be talking about that in addition to everything else we're going to be discussing. Link to the description bar to everything I mentioned and then some. And in the meantime, I'm going to get some sleep because I got to work tomorrow and it's our opening day, so it should be a really interesting time. So if you're around any sort of, let's just say, water theme park later today, then sweep me or something because I'm going to be there. So, and as always, in a world where there are a billion wrestling podcasts, we're very pleased that once more tonight you have chosen a podcast. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for listening. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.
So much wrestling. So little time because Owen just presses the button and interrupts me.